What's up everybody, welcome back. In today's video, I want to share with you guys step by step on how we can easily connect the OBSBOT Tail 2 PTZ camera to a PTZ camera controller. In this video, I'll be using the Avcan's PowerJoy PTZ camera controller. I do have a dedicated video about this controller. I will leave a link up over here and also down into the description. And I also have a dedicated video about the OBSBOT Tail 2 as well. I'll leave that down into the description. With that being said, I'm also going to leave some video timestamp chapters into the description of this video so you guys can easily navigate to the section of the video that you want to watch or even reference later on into the future. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about the overview, what we're going to be covering exactly. So there are two methods that we can connect the Tail 2 to a PTZ camera controller. We have method 1, which is a network-based connection using VISCA over IP. And method number 2 is going to be a serial-based connection using RS232. Let's go ahead and break it down for you, starting off with method number 1, network-based connection, VISCA over IP. So starting off with the required equipment, first things first, we need a PTZ camera like the Tail 2 with an Ethernet port over here, which we have at the back. And as you see, I do have an Ethernet cable connected to it. We'll explain in a little bit more detail. The Tail 2 actually supports PoE+, which basically means that we can actually power the camera via this Ethernet port. Again, it is not required. I'm just taking advantage of that feature, so I don't need to continuously charge the Tail 2 and use the internal batteries. I can just go ahead and power it via this Ethernet port PoE. So next, what we need, now that we have the PTZ camera with the Ethernet port, we need a controller with an Ethernet port as well. As you see over here, this blue cable, let's just tilt this up a bit so you guys can have a look. As you see over here at the back of the controller, we do have an Ethernet port RJ45 connection, which is connected to this Ethernet cable. And we do also have an RS232 connection, which we'll be talking about later. Notice over here the DC input. This controller also supports PoE, power over Ethernet, which this cable is not only just providing an IP address Ethernet connection, but it's also powering this controller right now as we speak. And that's why we do not have a DC power supply connected here at the back. Again, PoE is not required for this demonstration. I'm just telling you a little bit more about the two products here. So we got the camera, we got the PTZ controller, both of them have an Ethernet port. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and continue. You might be asking where these Ethernet cables are coming from. So here we have is an Ethernet switch. This one's actually made by TP-Link, and it is an 8-port Ethernet switch. And what this device is going to actually allow us to do is run a Cat5e or Cat6 network Ethernet cable from your home or office router modem to one of these ports. So from that router modem, you want to run a Cat5e or Cat6 cable to one of these ports. We'll call it port number 1 onto the right-hand side. Now from there, we're going to go and run another Cat5e or Cat6 cable, network Ethernet cable. We're going to run it to the controller. And port number 3, same idea, we're going to run another cable to PTZ camera. And port number 4, we can run it now to another PTZ camera. And port number 5, so on to another PTZ camera. So this switch is basically, think of it like a power bar. We have power going into it, we have a network going into it, and then we can send it out to a bunch of different devices. This is going to be definitely very helpful for a multicam setup, or even just in general, having a controller and one PTZ camera, being able to connect multiple devices to the same network. So for this video demonstration, I'm not using this exact Ethernet switch. I'm using another switch which supports PoE, but the same concept applies. I have an Ethernet cable running to my controller and an Ethernet cable running over here to my PTZ camera. So the next piece of equipment that you're going to need is the OBSBOT Start app. So I've already have it downloaded and installed here onto the mobile phone. So I'm just going to go ahead and launch it. And you can see it's already detected the Tail 2. I'm going to go ahead and select on that. So now we have a view of what the Tail 2 is actually looking at. And we can control it and all that jazz over here onto the mobile phone. So the reason why we need the OBSBOT Start app, because we want to confirm the IP address of the camera. And we also want to configure some settings that I'm going to go ahead and show you. So for me to go ahead and demonstrate, what I'm going to do over here is actually enable the recording on my phone, the screen recording, so we can show you guys a little bit closer up. Let's go back to the app now that the screen is recording. All right, perfect. So what we want to do over here is click onto these 3 little dots on the bottom left-hand corner. We're going to scroll down. We're going to go and click on About Device, and we're going to scroll down a little bit more. all the way down to where it says network. So we have a wireless IP address, and it shows the IP address right there. And we have a wired IP address. So right now the Tail 2 is connected via a wired network Ethernet cable. So we're going to be using the wired IP address, which is 192.168.2.242. Perfect. And just in case yours is not already set like that by default, beside wired IP, we have that button that says auto. We're going to click on that, and you want to make sure that it's set to auto, so it's going to automatically detect the camera's IP address. It just makes our life a little bit easier, basically enabling DHCP. So now that we know the IP address of the Tail 2 by looking into the OBSBOT Start app, another thing that we're going to touch base with in a little bit shortly on the app over here is RTSP mode. Currently you can see that it's off, but I'm going to go ahead and enable this shortly once we get everything configured, so we can actually take advantage of the display screen here onto the controller, so we can have a video preview of what the Tail 2 is actually looking at. So if you guys are not familiar with this controller, we're going to go ahead and break it down to you quickly. We're going to come to menu, and just so you guys don't think I'm cheating, we're going to come over here to system, and what are we going to do? We're going to do a factory reset, so we can see what you need to do if you get this controller right from brand new. Factory reset, let's do it. Are you sure? Yes, unfortunately I am sure. No big deal, it's for the benefit of you guys. Boom, factory reset. Perfect. All right, here we go. Let's do this. What we want to do, step one, we want to make sure that the controller is also connected to the same network IP. So we're going to come over here and we're going to go to network. And right now, DHCP is currently off by default. We want to turn that on and give the controller a couple of seconds, and it's going to detect the IP address, again, that we connected via the Ethernet cable, which is 192.168.2.250. Perfect. We're grooving. That's good. Let's just scroll down. We're going to go to save and exit. Perfect. All right. So now we're going to exit out of this menu, and we're going to go to the inquiry option. So inquiry is going to allow us to enter in our own settings and manually control what PTZ cameras we want to control over here. So we're going to go to inquiry, and we're going to go to camera ID. So this camera ID, for an example, it's going to be assigned to camera number 1. So anytime I want to control this camera, I can press camera number 1. So we'll leave camera ID as is, and we're going to go to camera name. So over here, we could give it a name, which I do like giving it a name. We're going to name this Tail 2. Let's clear what's currently there for the name, and we're going to add in our own name just because I like to keep organized. TAIL, and we're going to go with 2. Perfect. Now we're going to save that by going to go. We're going to select on that. Perfect. So camera ID, which is the Tail 2, is called number 1. Camera name is the Tail 2. Over here, we're going to select the protocol. So the protocol, we have a few to pick from, but for this demonstration, since we're going to be demonstrating over a network-based connection wirelessly, let's go ahead and select Sony VISCA Sony. All right, perfect. So here we have the preview URL. So the preview URL, basically, it's going to be an IP address of the PTZ camera that's going to allow us to take advantage of the preview over here. So we need to get some information from the app so we can actually enter that in. And that's going to be into the same area that we were earlier. So let's go back to the settings. We're going to go to About Device, and we're going to scroll down over here to right here, Wired Network. And it says mainstream and substream. What we want to enter in over here is the RTSP. Why are we doing this? Because I want to see the video signal coming from the Tail 2 on this display screen onto the controller. So this takes a little bit of time, but not that big of a deal. So what is the number that it's saying over here? Wired network 192.168.2.242. Perfect. And now we're going to use this little rotating dial here so we can select the /, and now we need to go back to the letters over here and enter in stream 1. Perfect, we got it. Make sure that everything's matching. RTSP, //192.168.2.242/stream1. Perfect. Yep, we're confirmed. We're good to go. We're going to come over here and save that by pressing the go button. And perfect. Now the preview URL is entered in over there. We are setting ourselves up for success so we can have the video preview onto this controller. Next over here, it's not automatically detected, but we need to enter in the IP address of the camera. And we already know that. Remember, we were down over here. It's the same IP address that we were just entering there. So what is it? 192.168.2242. Perfect. We're done. IP address is assigned. And now for the port. Okay, so the port by default is 1259. That's not the port that we need for the Tail 2 to work. We need to change this port. Let's clear what's currently there. And the port that we need is 52381. Perfect. Now we need to save that. Okay, so now we have the correct port, 52381. That is the port that we need for VISCA Sony. Okay, so for username, it's blanked out. We don't need to add anything. Password's blanked out. Address is blanked out. Serial port, we're not using it. Baud rate is blanked out. Protocol, again, normal 1 is good enough. We don't need to select anything different over here. Normal 1 protocol mode, we're going to keep that as is. And now finally, we're going to call up this camera. And it says connected successfully. Perfect. Jackpot. We're laughing. So we're just going to make sure that we save and exit. Let's get out of here. We're going to press the exit of the menu button. So here we are back to the main display screen. So we're going to call up camera number 1, which is the Tail 2. And it says connected successfully. And it is connected via Sony VISCA. There is the IP address of the camera. It's camera number 1. And the name of that camera is the Tail 2. Perfect. Let's see if we have control of this camera. Bingo. We're golden. We're laughing. Amazing. And we can go ahead and zoom in and zoom out. So you know what? We know that we have control of the pan tilt zoom of this camera. So now I want to show you guys what we need to do on the mobile start app so we can actually see the video preview from the Tail 2 on the PTZ Camera Controller display screen. So what we're going to do over here is come back to the same menu, and first thing that we're going to come to is media settings. So basically like the resolution and the quality and all of that. So we have a couple of options over here. We have the record settings, so when we're recording to the SD card. We have NDI/RTSP and SRT settings. These are the settings that we want to make sure that are not in 4K. So resolution, we got 1080p. We do not want 4K. Encoder, I've been mainly using H.264, so we'll leave that as that. Frame rate, you can select whatever you want, but majority of the time I use 30 frames per second. And the bit rate, I currently have it set to 40. So we'll leave that all as is, but that is the main thing that you want to configure and confirm that it's not in 4K in regards to the RTSP. Because now what we're going to do is enable RTSP mode right over here. So you can see the output option, RTSP mode. We're going to go ahead and turn it on. And again, it's giving us a warning over here that after enabling RTSP, that UVC, NDI, SRT, and live streaming will not be available. And we're going to acknowledge that. Perfect. RTSP mode is turned on. Okay, now let's go ahead and click the preview over here on the controller and see if we get a preview. Look at that. We have a preview coming from the Tail 2. We have control, pan tilt, zoom, and we're not done there. We even have more control, guys. So just to give you guys an example, we're going to go ahead and turn off this preview. Okay, and I want to show you that we have control of a few other settings over here. For an example, like auto white balance, one push white balance, auto exposure, one push auto focus, and auto focus as well, along with manual focus, because this is one of the benefits of using the VISCA Sony protocol via the network based. So what we're going to do over here is click on this button, which is going to toggle between the options over here. We have gain, which is like the ISO of the camera. We have the iris, which is the aperture of the camera. So this camera, we cannot control the aperture iris. So unfortunately, this is not going to work. That's just the way the camera is built, and we just don't have control of it. And we also have the shutter control as well. So we're going to start off over here via the gain. You can see it's highlighted in blue. It's set to 2. So take a look at the image over here as an example onto the mobile phone. So now we're going to control the gain of that camera. See how it's getting brighter? I'm controlling the gain, basically the ISO. So that is overexposed. I need to turn this down. Maybe I'm in a different environment. All right, looking good. I can turn down the exposure. You can see how much darker it's getting. Perfect. So now maybe let's turn it up all the way. I want to give you guys an example of auto exposure. I can set the auto exposure from the controller of the camera by pressing the AE. Look at that. It automatically adjusted the exposure. Or turn it off and control it myself manually. Perfect. So now let's jump over here to the shutter. I want to show you that we have control of the shutter as well. Let's press this button and jump over from iris now to shutter. And here we go. We're going to dial this down and we're going to increase it. So we have control of the exposure, the shutter right over here. And just to show you onto the app, we can see these numbers changing right now. So right now my shutter is 1/60. And as I rotate this, now I'm at 1/240. Now I'm at 1/320, and so on and so on. Look at the image being reflected over here. I have full control of the exposure right here onto the controller. So let's go ahead and just quickly put this back into auto exposure. Perfect. Next, I wanted to show you that we have control of the focus as well. So we can go ahead and use this button right over here. We're going to turn off autofocus first, and we're going to adjust the manual focus ourselves. Pretty cool, no? Or look, see how blurry it is right now? I'm not in focus. Let's go ahead and snap back in autofocus just like that. I have preview right over here onto the controller. Let's see if I have control of the manual focus while I'm looking at the preview, and I sure do. I have control of it. Snap back on the autofocus, adjust the exposure if I wanted to. This is awesome. This is really cool, nice and convenient. These are just some of the benefits of using the VISCA Sony network-based protocol. So another nice feature and benefit of using the Tail 2 with this controller, we can actually assign custom function buttons here onto the controller to tell the Tail 2 what to do. So for an example, what I've done in the past over here is assigned F7 to start my auto tracking and F6 to stop the auto tracking. So on the OBSBOT website, they actually have some command packets that we can basically tell the controller to tell it what we want the Tail 2 to do and save them as a custom function button. That is really nice. So guys, check this out. In the VISCA Sony protocol, we can actually save presets for this camera. So let's just go ahead and give you an example. We're going to click on preview. We're going to bring this camera over here. We're going to zoom in a little bit. Perfect, zoomed in. Now we're going to go ahead and select what number we want to save that to. So we're going to select number 1, and we're going to save that preset right there. Now we're going to zoom out for an example. Now we're going to save that to preset number 2. So number 2, press preset, it just saved that. And now we'll use another example over here. We'll maybe come down to this controller. Looking good. Give you guys a nice closer up view of the controller. And we're going to save this as preset number 3. So 3, press preset, perfect. So now we're going to call up preset number 1 by pressing 1 and press call. And the camera's going to preset number 1, which was that zoomed in one. Let's go to preset number 2. We'll call that, and bingo, now it's zooming out nice and wide. And finally over here, we'll call up preset number 3. And here we go, PTZ camera is now moving closer to the controller. So talking about some of the benefits with the network-based VISCA IP protocol, again, it is a standardized protocol which is going to work with most professional PTZ controllers and also PTZ cameras. It has a low latency. We got advanced controls as far as the pan, tilt, and zoom, but also controlling the speed, the exposure, the white balance, and focus, and more. We can control multiple cameras as long as they're connected to the same network. It's reliable. We can save different presets and call them up nice and easily. Overall, it's really nice and easy to set up, and this protocol is definitely worthwhile checking out now that you guys know are a little bit more familiar on how to connect it and start using it. Alright guys, now that you're more familiar with method 1, which is the network-based connection via VISCA over IP, let's move along to method number 2, which is the serial-based connection using the RS232 connection. So the RS232 does support different protocols, for an example, VISCA TCP, Pelco P, and Pelco D. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the required equipment. So starting off from scratch for the serial-based connection, first off, we're going to need a PTZ camera with an RS232 input. So if we look over here at the back of the tail too, you can see that we do have two connections over here. One is labeled as an RS232 input and one is labeled as an RS232 output. So currently right now we're going to be taking advantage of the RS232 input. And this cable did come included with the tail too. I'll show it to you guys shortly. So here is the cable that we're going to be using for the RS232. Let me just move it over here to the side so it's easier for you guys to see. So on the top over here, this is the side that's going to connect to the back of the tail 2 RS232 input. And on the other end over here, this is the mini DIN connection, which is going to get connected to the controller. And I'll show you shortly because we do need one other cable. So here is another required cable for this RS232 serial connection. This big end over here is called a DB9 connection, which is going to get screwed in and connected to the back of the controller. And on this end over here, we do have the mini DIN connection, which is going to get connected over here to this cable that comes with the tail 2. So it's pretty straightforward. Basically, they have these little arrows that you just want to line up, so it tells you exactly on how to connect it. So you just want to simply push it in like so, and now that cable is connected. So what we want to do over here is connect this end, as we mentioned before, to the back of the tail 2 RS232 input, because we're going to be sending an input command from the controller. So right here at the back of the tail 2, connect it to input. Perfect. And now we want to get this end of the cable, the DB9, and we're going to connect it over here to the back of the controller. So if you do not have this cable, I will leave a link down into the description so you can purchase it on Amazon. Again, it's a pretty standard generic cable, which you can find online. So we just want to connect it over here to the RS232. This is the output from the controller. Just want to push it in. And for extra security, we're just going to screw it in as well so it's nice and tight. We don't have a loose connection. And perfect. So let's go ahead and move along. We're going to have a look over here at the OBSBOT Start app. So come over here to the three dots, which are going to open up the settings, and we're going to scroll all the way down and we're going to click on Control Protocol. Again, you just want to make sure that it's set to auto because it's just going to make things a lot easier. Other than that, you can see that the VISCA address is 1, the Pelco P address is 1, and the Pelco D address is 1 as well, and the baud rate is 9600. Perfect. These are all standard by default. Again, OBSBOT has made it really easy for us by setting the protocol to auto. So we are done over here into the mobile app. What we're going to do, let's get now set up over here onto the controller. So we saw camera tail 2, camera number 1 is connected. Let's turn off the preview. It's connected via Sony VISCA, but now we're going to connect this camera a different method via these other protocols via RS232. So let's come over here to menu. We're going to go to inquiry. Basically, we're going to configure our camera, our new camera. Camera ID, right now it's set to camera 1, but you know what? I want this to be now camera number 2. So I just scrolled over here to camera number 2. Perfect. And for the name, again, we could give it our own name like we did last time. We'll call it 232. How does that sound? Perfect. All right, we're going to save that. That's what this camera is named. Go. Perfect. So now underneath protocol, we're not going to be using VISCA Sony. We're going to be using, we have 3 to pick from. Let's start off with VISCA. Okay, so let's select VISCA, not VISCA IP, just standard VISCA. So now you have preview URL. You guys are professional enough now. You guys know what to enter in over here. So let's click on preview URL because we all want to take advantage of the display screen and see the video coming from the tail 2. So where do we get this information from? Just like we did last time, open up the menu settings, about device, scroll down here to wired network, and we're going to enter in that right over there. RTSP //192.168.2 now 242, and we're going to enter in /stream STREAM. 1. All right, perfect. We got the preview URL all configured over here, RTSP, and the IP address /stream1. Perfect, just like last time. So we're going to go ahead and save this by clicking on go. All right, that's all good. As you can see, the IP address, it's not needed. It's grayed out. We don't need that. Port, we don't need for this. Username, we don't need. Password, we don't need. Address, it's set to number 1. And again, if you remember over here, this is where it's all related, because if you have multiple of these PTZ cameras, this camera would be set to address 1, but another Tail 2 camera would be set to address 2, and so on. So if you have multiple of these PTZ cameras, you can set different addresses. So right now this one is set to 1. And again, just to remind you guys over here, again, we're using VISCA. So VISCA address is 1. That's what we have signed up over here. Serial port, yes, that's a connection that we're using. Baud rate, that's the same thing that we have over here, 9600. Protocol mode, we're always using normal 1. Now let's call up this camera. Successfully connected. Perfect. Now we're going to go ahead and save and exit. Perfect. We'll back out of this. This camera is connected via VISCA, RS232 protocol. ID number of this camera is number 2. 232 is the name of it. Perfect. Now let's see if we have control. We sure do. We can go ahead and pan. We can go ahead and tilt down. We can tilt up. Looking good, looking good. Oh, this optical zoom is amazing. Look at the quality of that. That looks phenomenal. Just even the screen recording on my phone, it looks good. All right, perfect. So as you see, we got control of this camera. Pan, tilt, zoom, all of that good stuff. So again, now if you want to take advantage of the preview coming from the Tail 2 onto the display screen here onto the controller, just make sure that these settings are all intact over here. So what we want to do, again, we want to make sure that RTSP mode is enabled. We had it enabled from last time. So let's go ahead and select preview. And bingo, now we got a preview coming from the Tail 2. And don't forget, you want to make sure that the resolution for the RTSP is set to 1080p and not 4K. Perfect. Look at that. Looks perfect. I love it. I got full control. I got nice preview. Let's see if we have control over here of the autofocus, the manual focus, the auto exposure, and all of that. So we're going to turn off this preview here for a second just so I can see what's going on. We're going to come over here and select the gain so we can have control of the gain over here, which is like the ISO from the camera. And yes, it's fully controlling the camera's exposure. I have control over RS232 of the gain, which is the ISO. Now if I want to switch over here to the shutter, let's see if we have control of the shutter. And we sure do have control of the shutter. You can see the exposure is changing. So right now this is super dark. Perfect. I wanted to snap in auto exposure. Bingo, auto exposure is good to go. Oh, I want to take over manual focus. No problem. We got control of the manual focus right over here. And you know what? We got actual control of the focus speed as well. So why don't we go ahead and adjust this? So let's come over here to focus speed. Right now it's at 100%. Maybe let's dial this down to like, I don't know, 20. So we maybe have a little bit more fine control. And now look at that. I just got myself into focus manually. Let's totally bring myself out of focus and we'll snap in autofocus. Perfect. Love it. I love some of these benefits that we get out of the RS232. Nice and hardwired, nice and fast, immediate response. Really cool. All right, perfect. So now that we've connected the Tail 2 via VISCA TCP, let's go ahead and move along to Pelco P. So back into the menu over here, we're going to come over here to inquiry like we did last time, and we're going to change the protocol from VISCA to, let's use Pelco P first. Pelco P, the preview URL is going to stay the same. The address is going to stay the same. And again, you want to just double check yourselves. Come over here to protocol or control protocol. What are we using? We're using Pelco P address 1. And don't forget, I want to talk to you guys about the RS232 output so we can daisy chain multiple of these PTZ cameras. So address 1, we'll leave it the same. Serial port, same thing, RS232. Baud rate the same. Protocol mode, we're going to call up this camera. Connected successfully. We're going to go ahead and save and exit. Perfect. Now we're going to exit out of here. Perfect. We're going to call up camera number 2. All right, so camera number 2, it's connected via Pelco P, RS232. Camera number, camera ID is number 2, and the camera name, 232. Perfect. Let's see if we got control of this Pelco P. We sure do. Camera looks like it's moving a little bit quicker. Looks good, looks good. Let's bring up the preview. Preview's coming up just like as we suspected. Awesome. Nice and fast reactions over here. So you might be saying, well, you know what? This is a little bit quick for us. No problem. We're going to turn off this preview and we're going to come over here to camera speed. So we're going to navigate over here to pan tilt speed and we're going to dial this down. Right now it's at 100%. We'll maybe use 40%. Let's see how that one feels. Not bad, not bad. Maybe we want it slower. Let's dial this down to like 10%. Look at that. Nice, smooth footage. Going down, going up. What about the zoom speed? Right now, zoom speed is at 100%. Let's go ahead and zoom in. Still relatively pretty slow, but it's nice and smooth, not too quick. Looks pretty good. Happy with that. We zoom back out. So again, we don't have to always use this joystick controller to zoom in and to zoom out. We could also use over here this little seesaw switch over here, little rocker. So we can kind of do maybe two moves at once, maybe a little bit easier for us depending on how you want to control it. So we're good with Pelco P. Now let's come back over here to the menu. Menu, Inquiry. Now we're going to switch from Pelco P to Pelco D. Perfect, Pelco D. All of these settings remain the same. There's nothing to change over here. We'll just go ahead and quickly call up the camera, connect it successfully. We're going to save and exit. We're going to exit out of the menu. Perfect. We'll call up camera number 2. Camera number 2 is now connected via Pelco D, RS232 protocol, and so on. And now let's see if we got control. Yeah, we sure do. Camera's moving nice and slow. Let's turn up the speed a bit. Let's turn this up to like maybe 60%. That's nice and quick for me. Let's take a look at this preview. Looking good. Still got a preview action going on here. Maybe this might be a nice speed for some sports or whatever you're filming, some fast action. Alright, so one thing I wanted to point out to you about the Pelco D and Pelco P protocols is that we're not going to have control of the white balance and the auto exposure, and I believe we do have control of the auto focus and manual focus. So let's just go ahead and briefly demonstrate. So right now we're set to gain for us to adjust the ISO of the camera via this knob over here, and it is saying that it's not supported and my numbers are not changing and the exposure is not changing. Let's come over here to the shutter adjustments. Again, same idea. I'm adjusting this knob. The shutter is not changing the value and it's saying it's not supported. All right, let's go ahead and use the one push white balance to see if anything happens. It also says not supported. We'll go with auto white balance, also saying that it's not supported. All right, so let's go ahead and take control of the manual focus now. Again, we can use the image over here from the mobile phone, and also we can bring up the preview as well so we can kind of see how it looks if the manual focus is working. So we can adjust this dial. And yes, the manual focus is working. I can see I just adjusted the focus. Okay, so let's bring myself totally out of focus and let's see if I can snap back in autofocus. Autofocus is not snapping back in, but since I have the mobile phone app, I could just go ahead and tap it and it brings back into the focus. So we don't have any controls, white balance, exposure, autofocus, etc. We strictly have the panning and the tilting and the zooming over here via the joystick controller and also the rocker switch over here. So another thing I wanted to quickly elaborate on. So again, remember we are using the RS232 input over here at the back of the tail tube, but if we wanted to, we could take advantage of the RS232 output if we have another tail 2 PTZ camera. So we would just run another cable from the RS232 output at the back of this tail 2 and run it to the RS232 input onto the second tail 2. And if we had another tail 2, so we had 3 of them in total, same concept would apply. So we can continue to daisy chain multiple tail 2s via this serial based connection via the RS232 input and the RS232 output, which is fantastic. All right, guys, check this out. So not only do we have control of the pan, tilt, and zoom of the camera and the Pelco D and the Pelco P and VISCA protocol, but we also can save some presets over here or this PTZ camera. So let's go ahead and demonstrate. We're going to click on the preview button so we can have a preview video image over here. We're just going to go ahead and select a random position. We're going to go and select what preset we want to save it to. So we'll say preset 1. We'll press 1 and we're going to save that as a preset. We're going to go and zoom in for an example. And we'll save this as preset number 2. So we're going to press number 2 and select preset. Then we're going to zoom out. And we're going to come down here. We'll look at the PTZ controller. All right, looks good, looks good. We'll move it up a bit. All right, and now we're going to save this position to preset 3. So we'll press 3, select preset, saved it. Perfect. So now let's go ahead and call up preset number 1. So you press 1 and press call. Boom, here you go. PTZ camera is moving to preset 1. Let's go ahead and move to preset number 2. We'll call up preset number 2. There's preset number 2, zoomed in a bit. And now here's preset number 3. We'll call up preset number 3, again turning back towards the controller. Really nice feature to be able to do this in all of these protocols. So talking about some of the benefits when using the serial base RS232 connection, again, there is no network setup. It's just plug and play the controller to the camera. It's very reliable in environments where there's no IT infrastructure, for an example. There's very low latency since it's a direct hardwired connection, and the response is pretty much like instant. It's also widely supported as well, so many older PTZ cameras, as well as the predictability as it's immune to network dropouts or IP conflicts or router issues. Overall, it's very stable once it's all wired and connected. Well guys, that looks like a wrap for today's video. I definitely do appreciate you guys tuning in, especially if you guys made it this far into the video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video and learned something along the way. If you do have any questions or comments, let me know down into the comment section down below, and I will also leave some links down into the description as well, as far as all the products that I've used today in this video. Again, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Till next time, peace.